You are listening to A Scary State, and this week we're covering South Carolina. So, Kenzie?
Yes, Lord.
Let's get scary.
I'm trying to think. I've only done like a handful of doubles so far.
I know. They're wild. Yeah. And we actually started somewhat early today, so that was like kind of nice. I made you get here early.
I got here.
I know.
Yeah. You know, given that we're doing 2 in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
Not bad.
If only we had done one, this would have been amazing timing. Would have been so happy.
And then one day we're going to have one and it's never going to be like this.
No, never.
I mean, we had the pest guy come. We had...
Oh my God, we did have a lot.
Yeah.
We looking for the box.
We looked for the box.
Looked for the box.
What's in the box? We have a guy I work with. Oh my God, it's so funny. Okay, he grew up in like a teeny little town, very sheltered. He doesn't know many like social cue reference or like common, what is that? Pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a tally going for things that he catches and things he doesn't catch. So, oh my God, I came in the other day and they're like, he didn't get one. And I was like, what was it? They asked him who the Orioles were. And he goes, oh, is that a football team in Idaho? I went, oh, child. And so everyone thought my response was funnier than the whole thing. But anyway, because I just looked at him, I went, oh. And so one of our coworkers made, it says like NFL football team, Idaho Orioles. And it is so funny.
You know what? He knew it was sports.
He did. He did. He's like, how am I supposed to know that it was like for here? I said, you've lived here for like 2 years.
I mean,
you have
Baltimore,
no excuse. Exactly.
It's kind of far from here.
No. We don't give him any breaks.
Okay.
Some things he gets, some things we think he guesses. We were once talking about like ugly outfits and we said something. He goes, is that Mean Girls? And I was like, no. And I said, but at least you thought about it. Really you made a smart decision.
Yeah. We love that. We love that.
Oh, it makes me laugh. I don't know how we got to that topic, but
I don't remember.
I don't either. All right. So I guess are we just going to jump on into South Carolina?
We'll jump in. So people were already living in South Carolina 50,000 years ago.
I can't even wrap my brain around that.
I think I've told you my people timeline with the year to scale.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
This place has been around for a minute. Whew. So Georgia may be considered the peach state, but South Carolina produces more, second only to California.
So I think it's like California, South Carolina, Georgia.
Georgia should have been named the nut state.
For the peanut?
Yeah, they make a lot of peanuts.
Oh. Maybe they didn't want to be the largest
producer of peanuts.
We either get the nuts or the peach.
I guess.
Front or back. I was like, she's going to get there eventually. I'll just give her time.
You're so dirty.
Morning glory.
Still can't get over that. As of 2015, South Carolina had been rated as the #1 worst drivers in the nation.
Did you notice that when we drove down to South Carolina?
Oh, okay. We were on like a main highway.
I don't know. We went into the city. Ish.
Yeah, but I didn't really drive all that much. I just drove us in, drove us out.
That's true.
So, the oldest living organism east of the Mississippi is the angel oak of Johns Island. It is a tree that is estimated to be about 1,500 years old. My friend lives on Johns Island.
Oh, cool. Hi, friend.
They were home to the first public museum. Were the rest of them private?
I don't know. Maybe you had to pay.
I was going to say, I wonder if public means free.
Probably. Like DC.
The Smithsonian's.
Yeah.
The first sweet tea of the nation came from Somerville. Why did you say fitting?
I don't know, because Somersville, sweet tea.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was cute.
South Carolina is the birthplace of American barbecue. The hottest pepper, known as the Carolina Reaper, was grown in Fort Mill and scores over 2 million on the Scoville scale.
I like spicy. I can do spicy. I can't do burn your mouth to the point where there's no flavor and it's just spice.
Yeah.
I like spice to have flavor. Oh my gosh. My coworker, we have gone out to eat. We've gone to happy hours. I've eaten spicy things with her. I've tried her jalapeno margarita. She looks at me one day. She goes, "You're the one who thought ketchup was spicy, right?" And I looked at her, I said, I am insulted. I said, I shared a jalapeno margarita with you. And she goes, oh, yeah, you did. I was like, yeah.
Ketchup is spicy.
It's not spicy.
Vinegary. Like, it's like a...
What ketchup are you eating?
Not when you put it on things, but like if you get like a little bit and it's separate from everything else and you just taste the ketchup, it's not spicy. It's like bitter.
Okay.
Next time, just dip your finger in ketchup.
Okay.
Let me know what it tastes like.
Do you think pepper's spicy?
No, I just don't like it.
Okay.
I don't think pepper tastes good. I don't think it's a tasty spice.
Oh. I knew that about you. I just always think you think it's spicy, but you don't.
I think when I was a kid, that's what I just said because I didn't like it.
Mm.
But now that I've gotten older and will eat things that have some spice to it, I just don't like black pepper.
Oh, I love black pepper.
If
My
it's
family's
mixed
big black pepper.
into other things,
Oh, yeah.
like within a mix, then it's fine. But just by itself,
But you're not going to like put it on something.
Yeah, I don't think it tastes good.
You know, my family, we like our black pepper.
Mm-hmm. Still have a fucking bottle of Tabasco just sitting there.
I'll take it.
And the thing of pepper.
I'll take them.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
It just sits.
Yeah, I'll take it. I love Tabasco. I don't like normal Tabasco. It has to be Chipotle Tabasco, but I'll still try it. I'll still take it from you.
An itty bitty teeny tiny bottle.
Oh, yes, I'll take that. That's so cute. So, South Carolina.
So this is interesting. Apparently in Sheldon, there is an African village known as...
Oyotunji?
Yep, what Lauren said. It is said that once you step through the gates, you are no longer on American soil. Visitors are welcome as long as they call ahead first to set up a visit. And Lauren looked ahead and it is legit.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, there's no way. Like, that doesn't sound right. No, yeah, they are their own African, like, country. Like, African.
Like a sovereign.
African village.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I was like, well, an African village
Do
in
they
the
follow
U.S. isn't.
law?
I don't think so. I didn't look into it that much. I just
Okay.
looked to see like if it was actually real, like
Right,
if what
yeah,
I was
yeah.
talking about was real. Yeah, it is. And they just seem very nice. You just call, you make an appointment, they'll give you a little tour.
That's nice. Pettiness at its best. In 1915, Governor Coleman Blease quit his job just 5 days before the end of his term so he wouldn't have to attend the inauguration of his successor. I like that.
I do too.
Morgan Island is home to 4,000 monkeys. That's weird.
Why?
There's some animals that you can't picture in the wild because they're not native to where, and monkeys in South Carolina is not.
Yeah. So it's like a little island. You can see them from the shore,
Mhm.
the island you can't visit. But I think it's used for like medicine and like experimentation. Not like bad ones, but like medical experiments, which are not great. But so that's why they have that like island.
Oh.
And I think the monkeys can swim. So
I think
like,
I've seen that.
yeah. So
There's definitely, maybe it's pigs.
pigs can swim.
There's something where I've seen like on social media where it's like, look at this island of whatever, and they're swimming.
Definitely the pigs swim.
Okay.
I think monkeys swim.
See, that's what I mean. Like it's just,
Or it's a very smart idea they're on an island and they can't swim.
there you go. So like Lauren said, it's not open to the public. For me, there's a huge pot of coffee that sits on Highway 301 at a little diner. And if it were real, it would be able to brew over 330 gallons. Why is this for me? Don't you like coffee?
The biggest thing. A big thing.
Oh, so you're really stuck on the whole big thing, aren't you?
Sometimes, yes, if I find them. I need 330 gallons of coffee right now.
Right. There's a UFO welcome center in Bowman. On June 26, 1901, a huge storm hit Tiller's Ferry, and suddenly it started to rain fish. Gross.
I know. Disgusting.
Very gross. Probably very stinky.
Probably.
So there's a scary tale of Julia Leger. She was born in the 19th century and visiting her family on Estido Island. But while there, she got sick, fell into a coma, and was eventually pronounced dead. She was buried that day as bodies weren't embalmed at the time before decomposition began. Her body was interred in the family mausoleum and the door was sealed, and that was that. But 15 years later, another family member had died, and so the doors to the mausoleum were open again. The family was horrified to find Julia's body near the entrance. She had been buried alive. That is my fear.
I know.
She had been buried alive, escaped the coffin, but couldn't escape the mausoleum.
Oh,
for years.
Like you get out of one and you're like, okay, I'm good, I'm free. And then you're in this room.
That's why I'm going to get cremated.
Yeah.
So that I'm
Definitely dead.
For years after that, the doors to the mausoleum wouldn't stay closed, no matter what was used to try to keep the door shut. It is believed that as long as the doors stay open, Julia will be at peace.
She doesn't want the same thing to happen to anyone else.
Terrifying.
Oh, God. And like, you know, when you hate something so much, you want to learn everything you can about it.
Mm-hmm.
So there are a ton of podcasts who will do like a creepy episode about what happens when you're buried alive and stories of people being buried alive. I have to listen to all of them.
No.
I just need to.
No. I don't need that. I don't need that at all.
I do.
South Carolina is trying to claim Blackbeard, saying that he hailed from there. But as we know from
North Carolina,
our North Carolina episode, available wherever you get your podcasts, that's not true.
Much of his stuff was North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So
go to Outer Banks. He's everywhere. Viola Davis was born in St. Matthews. Chadwick Boseman was born in Anderson. And Kevin Garnett was born in Malden.
Okay, when I say Kevin, do you think more of Kevin Garnett or do you think more of Kevin James?
Neither.
Oh. We had this debate at work and everyone's like, no, it's Kevin Garnett. I said,
Who the fuck is that?
A basketball player.
Oh.
I said, I could not tell you who that is. And I said, but Kevin James, I got you.
Kevin Durant? A basketball player.
I don't watch sports. I got in trouble once for talking about sports. And I said, no, I do not talk about sports. I am not getting in trouble for talking about sports.
If we're playing a game and then it's like you have to say a celebrity's name and like you say Kevin and then you have to think of the first celebrity that comes to mind, I would probably say that there's no celebrity named Kevin. So
Kevin Spacey?
Kevin Costner. That's probably what I would say.
Kevin Spacey?
No, Kevin Costner.
Oh.
That's what I would say.
It was the first one that came to your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's...
Uh-huh. I can't think of any other Kevins. Kevin James, Kevin Durant,
Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon. No. Yes? Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds wrong. But
6
it's
degrees
right.
of Kevin Bacon.
Okay, there are a lot of Kevins.
Kevin Jonas? Jesus.
And when you say a name too much, it sounds weird. So now Kevin doesn't sound like a real name.
Kevin does not sound like a real name. So we're going to stop. So tell me something not boring, Lauren. I'll have new ones next time. I promise.
So if you know South Carolina at all, you should know that literally every single part of it is haunted.
Yeah.
So I wanted to focus on some haunted churches today.
Nice.
So I found 2 that I decided to cover. So we have the Salem Black River Church.
It sounds haunted.
Yeah. So the church is located in Maysville, a small town in Sumter County. This Presbyterian church was established.
That where Fort Sumter is?
Maybe.
Oh, I thought you would look at me like that was a stupid question.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. It's Sumter. It's Sumter. Like there's no P. Sumter County.
Yes. SUMNT or
SUMTER.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe.
Fort Sumter. Sumter.
If we can pronounce it, maybe we can find out where it is.
Huh. Charleston Harbor, South Carolina.
Look at you. Putting 2 and 2 together.
So not in Sumterville.
Oh. Sumter County.
Sumter County.
So this Presbyterian church, it was established in 1759 on a tract of land that had been given to the Scots-Irish settlers by Captain David Anderson.
I need you to do me a favor.
What?
I need you to stop pulling in your fucking hair.
Why?
Because I can see the fucking skin of your neck get pulled from behind your ear. And it's creepy as hell.
Fine.
Twirl it all you want. Just don't fucking pull.
Fine, I'll keep my hands here. So it all began as a small meeting-style house with a simple wooden frame. The cemetery in the back, behind the session house of the church, was put together in 1794. Then in 1802, a brick building was constructed with Greek Revival architecture. Mm-hmm. All throughout the area, it became known as Brick Church, obviously because it was now made of bricks. And it is currently on the lot that was built in 1846. It now stands as one of the earliest brick churches in South Carolina.
Oh, that's cool.
And then in 1856, 4 massive Doric columns were raised, constructed from bricks that were made on the grounds of the church from the clay that was on the property. When I heard the name of the columns, I was like, we learned about that in school.
Oh,
all the columns.
the Greek architect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So before emancipation, which took place in 1863, there, of course, was a slave section and a white section, with the slaves having to sit in what is known as the slave gallery, which was up above the sanctuary and was separated from the whites who got to sit down below.
Of course.
After emancipation, those who had been freed left the congregation of Salem Black River Presbyterian Church and founded their own church, Goodwill Presbyterian.
Love it.
The church stood through a lot to include wars, depressions, and natural disasters. Most notably, the August 31st, 1886 Charleston earthquake, which hit 7 on the Richter scale.
Damn.
And Hurricane Hugo, which hit in 1989. It is now listed in the National Register of Historic Places, and it is still being used. Service is still conducted, but that doesn't mean that it is not haunted. So I didn't want to do too much history, so I could get to the haunts. So naturally, the church is thought to be one of the most haunted buildings in South Carolina.
Naturally.
The 3 most popular hauntings are that of a Southern belle, a sad little boy, and a priest. So the Southern belle, she is usually seen wearing an antebellum-style dress and is believed to have died during the Civil War. Her skirt is usually seen slipping around corners, and she always leaves behind a strong, musky perfume smell. What?
That sounds like a man.
Yeah, I know. The little boy is usually seen at the gates of the graveyard. He is believed to be between 8 and 6. Nope, 6 and 8. And he is always seen weeping uncontrollably.
So on a tantrum.
Or just, it's not even like a tantrum, it's just he just bawling. Another well-known spirit is that of the long-dead priest. Back when he was alive, he lost his entire family to the plague. It is believed that after the deaths of his family, he cursed God and turned to Satan instead. He started performing satanic seances and getting into satanic mischief. What?
What plague?
I don't know, plague. Some plague that went through South Carolina back when he was in South Carolina. This is the story. This is the lore. I'm not going to go fact check the ghost. There could have been a plague in South Carolina.
Not when there would have been a white man at a church.
We don't know if he was a white man.
That church wasn't there until white people built it.
Smallpox. That's guess. Some sickness went through and killed his family.
Okay.
Yeah. So his dark spirit is usually spotted in the corners of the back rooms of the church.
Because the plague happened in the 1300s.
Okay, then maybe it wasn't the plague. It was a sickness, but this article said a plague. Every article said a plague. It could be a plague locusts. No, I don't know. So, his dark spirit is usually spotted in the corners of the back rooms of the church where his office was hundreds of years ago. So it was hundreds of years ago that this plague hit South Carolina. I'm just going to look if there was a plague in South Carolina.
Unless it was the flu.
Maybe.
1818.
Yes. The Great Charleston Smallpox Epidemic of 1760.
Church was 30 years away from being built.
No, it was built in
1790.
1759.
You said 1790.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Yes, the back session house for the cemetery was built in 1794. The church was established in 1759, and there was a plague in Charleston in 1760. Bish.
Okay.
The Great Charleston Smallpox Epidemic. I said smallpox!
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure most of the white people gave it to the...
Whatever, that's what happened. And so valid. Okay.
Yeah, I too think of smallpox when I hear the word plague.
Epidemic. Okay, so lights are said to flicker back there in this back room. And a shadowy figure is also often reported, seemingly moving around the room.
Well, yeah, if your lights are flickering on and off, a shadow's going to move around the room.
Right. A shack out back was also his. Sometimes late at night, a light can be seen from inside the shack as well as a shadow moving around. Those who just step foot on the property say that the moment they enter, they feel the intense feeling of being watched. They also report an atmosphere of evil around the church.
That's what's supposed to happen.
But they get an atmosphere of evil that is accompanied by a mounting sense of dread, fear, and a chill that settles deep into your soul.
I think most Christians would be very pleased with this kind of reaction going into a church.
Fearing God. They say that there's something evil there, that there's an evil entity lurking around among the other non-evil spirits. One visitor said that the moment they arrived at the site, they got nauseous.
I thought those were supposed to be like the no-fly zone for evil spirits.
Yeah. No.
Well, then why do people hold up like a cross to...
I don't know.
Okay.
At least in some of the shows I've seen, they're like, oh yeah, these are the people I need to get. These like super religious ones. So this person who got nauseous also saw a dark figure in the cemetery. They said that it is also an evil place and nothing about the space feels right. The old graveyard in the back is one of the big spots where people report paranormal activity.
I can't get over that.
What?
Just the irony behind a haunted cemetery.
Right.
Like,
duh.
Duh.
But there isn't just one cemetery.
There's for sure dead people there.
Oh, yeah. There are actually 2 graveyards. So the first is for normal people, like those who attended the church or locals, but the second one was only for priests.
Oh.
So naturally, it is said to be haunted by all of the priests who are laid to rest there. Maybe not restful, but that's who haunts that.
So why don't they kick the evil guy out?
I don't know, because they probably can't. They might not be
There's
strong.
a lot of rules here.
I didn't say it was a rule, it's just that they probably can't. Visitors have reported cold spots, orbs, and strange lights seen out in the cemetery. The intense feeling of being watched is also felt out here, too. Whispers and quiet talking have been heard coming from the trees at the back of the cemetery, obviously when no one's there. People have even reported seeing priests and even the southern belle wandering the grounds, disappearing around corners. And if the belle isn't seen, sometimes that musky smell of her perfume is noticed. Cell phones and batteries quickly get drained of their power when in the back of the cemetery as well. People will go there with full phone camera things, battery. So I love my hauntedplaces.org. So Sabrina said that she and her teenage son visited the church, but more specifically the graveyard, to just take some pictures. While they were there, Sabrina said that they saw a jet black dog with pointy ears and red eyes staring at them. She and her son got out of there quickly and left immediately. She said she had no idea what it was. Well, a guy named Richard commented and said that it sounds like she saw a hellhound.
Okay.
And if so, she got very lucky that she saw it and that she wasn't attacked by it.
Ooh.
Which I thought too. I'm like, black dog, red eyes. Do you think that's just a normal dog? No. Another poster named Owen visited the church. He said it is stunningly beautiful, and the church members are very nice, very willing to answer questions, very willing to give tours. He said that while it is beautiful, it is definitely haunted. He said that everyone he has gone with has felt nauseous at some point. Some of them have seen spirits. He himself has experienced cold spots, especially when in the graveyard. He also said that in the graveyard, there's a patch of dirt where nothing grows. Those are always creepy. Another guy, Ryan, went there with some friends, and while they were filming the area, he caught some whispers in the recording that he said weren't from him or any of his friends, just disembodied voices. And then a blog called The Haunting of South Carolina had some comments about this church as well. Someone named Phoenix57 Floyd said that there are hordes of blowflies that will attack you if you come near. So blowflies are the same flies that appeared in Amityville, like the Amityville Horror, those movies, like those kind of flies that will attack. In the basement, the person said they saw...
I just think of crime scene shows when there's flies.
But these are different flies. They're not your typical house flies.
Yeah, I know, but aren't those flies that they find on...
Oh, yeah, actually,
a body?
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
So in the basement, this person said that they saw dried blood, nail marks, as if someone had been bloodied and dragged. As they were walking away from the marks, they saw the door to the room they were in slammed shut. But when they tried to open it, it wasn't locked. So they just kind of pooped out. He said that now, by law, the door is bolted shut to try to deter people from coming here and performing cult-type things.
I mean, I get it.
I get it.
As a church.
Yes.
You might not want that happening.
So that's really all we have about the Salem Black River Presbyterian Church.
All right.
Not a ton.
That's okay.
So now we have the Old Gunn Church.
The old what?
The Old Gunn Church.
Okay.
Gunn. Which is located in...
the guy who does Project One Way.
Yeah. Tim Gunn? Yeah. So this one is located in Georgetown County and was built in the Gothic Revival style. It was once a small, insignificant church sitting on the property when in 1859 it was replaced to be much larger and more grand. Construction on the Prince Frederick's Chapel, its original name, took 16 years, and in that time it received a new nickname, the Old Gunn, which I will get to. In 1879 it was consecrated, meaning that it was officially declared sacred.
Okay.
Church sat near Petey River.
Okay.
Petey River, which was a hotspot for rice planting.
Okay.
So many wealthy rice planters attended the church and were the main financial source that allowed the church to continue to be maintained. It had a long history of being burned down twice, rebuilt once, but soon enough with the war and the decline in rice growing, many of those farmers started to move out and move on to other forms of work. Because these wealthy families were moving away and the church was losing its members, it started to fall into disrepair. By 1966, most of the structure was deemed to be unsafe, and at this point, most of it was demolished, leaving behind only the west-facing wall and the church's tower. Other parts were roped off as they too were unsafe to be around. The church is also listed in the National Register of Historic Places. So how did we get the name Old Gunn from Prince Frederick's Episcopal Church?
Yes.
This could be from the contractors of the church, Philip and Edward Gunn. During those 16 years of construction on the Prince Frederick Chapel, one of the Gunn brothers, it's unclear which one, was up on the roof inspecting the bell tower. This is where the two versions veer off. So we have two versions of the story.
Okay.
One version says that while he was a contractor, he may have also been the overseer of the slaves. It is said that he was working up on the tower, he slipped and fell. But he wasn't dead. He was badly injured and dying, but he was still alive and he needed help. When the slaves who saw him fall refused to approach or help him because of how evil he was, they were terrified of this man, his evil ways, so they ran away, leaving him to die alone.
I mean,
I can't blame them.
no.
The other version says that he slipped and fell to his death and died inches from the church. He wasn't an evil slave owner. He was just a contractor doing his job. So we kind of hope he was bad, so it wasn't just like an innocent death, but also at the same time, we don't want him to be bad, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very conflicting emotions there.
So now on to the haunts.
Got it.
So it is said that Gunn's screams are occasionally heard by visitors, as if he is stuck in a time warp, forever screaming while falling to his death.
No.
Locals have also seen a light moving in the upper portion of the tower at night, even though that part of the tower is inaccessible.
Mm.
A ghostly choir has been heard on the grounds, singing a hauntingly beautiful song.
Two things that are freaky. Songs, laughter.
Yeah. Children laughing at night,
And
ghostly
songs.
choirs.
Yeah.
There are also apparently 3 unnamed graves towards the back of the graveyard that are said to belong to 3 witches.
Naturally.
Of course. And it is also believed that, of course, something dark and evil guards the property and will chase away anyone trying to wander on and trespass. Hauntedplaces.org.
So all these people trespass, and this is what they said.
Exactly. No, exactly. So Emily visited this site in September 2014 with some friends. They decided it would be a great time and place to use a Ouija board.
There is a museum. I don't remember where.
Yes.
And it is a Ouija museum.
That's terrifying.
We have to go.
Well, yeah, but I'm not going to touch anything.
No.
And I'm not going to leave with anything. And I'm not going to buy anything.
No, I'm just going to read it.
Yeah. That would be so fascinating. It's probably in Baltimore because that's where the Ouija board was first made.
I don't even remember where I saw this.
Good.
Thing pass by.
We'll find it.
Naturally.
So they're using this Ouija board. So they started playing and got into contact with something, so they decided to keep talking to whatever spirit they had contacted. Of course, they asked if it was a demon, and the thing said no.
Oh, that's good.
But, demons are always truthful, so.
Sure.
Well, shortly after they started, and pretty much right after they had asked that question, they heard a howl come from the woods. A howl that started off sounding like a human before it morphed into a more animalistic noise. And they said something about the scream did not sound natural.
No.
So they packed up quickly and were out of there. When she got home, Emily decided to look up animals in the area to try to see which one made the weird noise she heard. But none of the animals local to the area matched the howl. Then we have a guy named Ray who went. So apparently he's part of a paranormal group and is also a sensitive because everyone's sensitive. It kind of drives me crazy in comments. Like, I'm a sensitive and I felt that everyone here was sad. It's like, did you even go there? No, I saw pictures.
I too am sensitive. Cry a lot.
So Ray and his group went to the church and nothing was really happening, so he and his son went to sit down on a nearby bench. As they were sitting there, they heard a scream coming from the woods. The rest of the group came over and they all looked on as shadow figures started moving all over in and out of the trees. The K2 meter started to go crazy. This is when Ray says he was attacked. He started to see visions of a man dying. These visions were giving off such an intense feeling that Ray's wife had to help him get to their car and help him, get him in. He had the K2 on his lap at the time and it started going off again. So Ray went to lay down in the back seat instead and they all started praying. Then their praise immediately turned into starting to ask questions to the spirit or whatever. And whatever it was intelligently answering. So they would say something, the K2 would respond one way or the other. He said that after they left, it took him over a week to get his full strength back after the attack. Anon posted, anonymous, that they visited the graveyard. They were disrespectful, and his friend drunkenly kicked a gravestone.
Wow.
His friend ended up getting his toes pretty badly smashed from doing this, and the guy made it seem like they got more messed up than what they should have been from kicking a gravestone. They left without much incident, until that night when both of them experienced a pretty rough demonic sleep paralysis situation. Anon said that the place definitely has something evil and dark that lurks around. He warned to not be a dick if you go visit, because the place will come back and haunt you.
You should just not be a dick, period.
Right, just don't be a dick. Sky said that they had an experience when they went to visit. They said they felt the common and typical negative, dark feelings, but Sky and their friends were driving down the dirt road to get back to the church. All of a sudden, the car dies.
Oh, no.
So they're completely unable to do anything to get it working again. As they were trying to get it started back up, the whole group witnessed a black shadow man and his black shadow cat start walking across the road.
Uh-oh.
The two stopped in the middle of the road, stared at the group in their car, and the cat hissed. The two kept walking before suddenly disappearing into thin air. So this is when Skye said that suddenly something grabbed them by the throat and started squeezing really hard.
Oh
They're
my
like
God.
grabbing at their neck, trying to get it free. It took all of their friends to help release the invisible hands. Again, after trying for a while, after they figured that whole thing out, they were able to start the car. And as they were trying to drive away, they said it felt like something was holding the back of their car and that they were stuck in reverse. For about 7 minutes, they were stuck and couldn't move. Then whatever it was released them and they sped home. Frankie said that they used to visit the church often. One time it was a whole family affair. They went with their parents, sister, aunt, and her 2 sons.
My dad might just for shits and giggles.
What? Go
Like
to
if
a
I was
spooky
like, hey, you
church?
should come with me. And he'd be like, okay, fine. But not because he thinks anything is going to happen. I don't think my mom would come with me.
No. My mom would be like, all right, where do you want to go? Dad would go begrudgingly, but he would have a good time.
Yeah. I
Same
feel
with
like
Jared and same with Joe.
I feel like that would happen with my dad. Like he would go.
Mm-hmm. It would be begrudgingly, but they'd be excited at the same time. But they don't want to show that they're like kind of excited.
My dad's from New Orleans. How can you not believe in that shit?
Absolutely. If he didn't, I'd be like, dude, you're living in the wrong place or from the wrong place. So they enter the fence of the property, which again, you're not allowed to do this. That's why there's a fence up. But the aunt took a brick. Never do this. Even if the place is not haunted, it's just disrespectful. Just don't take things, especially if they're haunted. So they're looking around more. They keep exploring. After they got their fill, they're leaving. They see a bright flash of light. So this freaked them out. It was unexplainable. So even quicker, they went back to the car, left the area. In the car, about halfway down to the main road, they saw another flash of bright light, but this time in the car. And it seemed to have come from in between the front 2 seats. What was sitting right there, you may ask?
The brick.
Yup. She freaked out and in a panic threw the brick out of the car window.
Please tell me it was rolled down.
Yes. Not smash in the window. When they finally got back home, they noticed that the brick was still somehow lying between the 2 front seats.
What?
The next morning, they raced back to the church and returned it. Then we have Michael, who took a girl here one day.
That would be end of relationship.
So he was kind of weird. So he said he's always had like a negative feeling when he comes here, when he's near the church, but people always want to go visit it. So he brings them with him.
Mm-hmm.
So one day he decided to take a girl here on a date.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to go up to the gate to get a better look, but Michael refused to go up with her. He said he didn't like the feelings. He didn't want to go close. Well, she gets out of the car and makes her way up to the gate by herself. When she got close
Some
enough,
fucking date.
I know. When she got close, though, she said it felt like her heart was being squeezed and she felt weak. But she continued to climb through the gate anyways. She took 3 steps inside when suddenly her eyes rolled back into her head and her face went pale.
No.
She stood in She stood in a trance-like state for 3 seconds until Michael got out of the car, ran up to her, and quickly helped her back to the car. They left and dropped her off at home. Later on that night, she called Michael to tell him that she couldn't sleep and she had this intense feeling of being watched in her home. Her infant daughter was in her arms and was sweating, but she was freezing and couldn't get warm. The next morning, she told Michael that something wants her to come back to the graveyard, like something is pulling her to go back. They didn't go back. But Michael concluded by saying that the place is evil and needs to be left alone, yet he goes
all the time.
Often.
And brings people.
Right. So I'm like, sir.
You are literally tour guide Barbie. Like, I don't understand.
And then finally, we have a story from a girl named May from darkstories.org.
Okay.
To start off, a little backstory. May is a practicing witch, and her friends are as well.
Love it.
So one day, she decides to visit the
Are
church.
they named April and June?
No. They have some interesting names.
Okay.
So one day, she decides to visit the church with her fiancé and some of her friends. The moment they arrived at the property, they just knew right away that something evil and malevolent was there. She said that everything got quiet, the wind stopped blowing, and the woods went still. What?
It's just, you walk up to something, it feels shitty. What more do you need?
Leave.
Leave.
So everything was silent, which we know is never a good sign.
No.
This is when the whole group heard a loud grunt behind them, causing them all to quickly get back in the car. They were all shaking it off, saying it was a wild boar, and they would prefer to be in the safety of the car if there was a wild boar in the area, rather than like being outside.
Just admit you're a chicken shit. It's fine.
But something about the grunt was just off, and they continued to hear this grunt that just didn't sound right. Something about it felt and sounded weird to them. This is when one of the friends said the horrifying statement, "That's not a boar. That's something pretending to be a boar."
You!
Because they were all already in the car. May threw the car into drive and peeled out of there. That same friend, the one who had the creepy statement, then said, "Whatever you do, don't look back."
No.
But she's just like us. She didn't listen and she had to glance in that rearview mirror.
I would put my hand over the fucking mirror.
Just move the mirror.
Turn it around, anything to not look backwards.
So what she saw coming, chasing their car, was a large rolling mass of what looked to be black smoke following closely behind. The smoke seemed to have a glint of red, and it was
fucking Indiana Jones.
Yeah. And it was quickly moving towards their car. May knew that she couldn't slow down, and it seemed something in her told her that if she didn't speed up, the thing would catch them. As she is flying down the road, she takes a sharp turn a little too quickly.
Uh-oh.
She narrowly makes the turn, but as she does, her headlights illuminate something on the right-hand side of the road. A thin male deer was standing there, with glowing blue eyes and an abnormally large mouth. May said that time stopped as she made eye contact with this deer. In her head, she heard, "Get out or I will get you."
Ew!
She put her foot on the accelerator the entire time until
Good.
they crossed over the river.
Get out.
Yeah, right. Leave. So she had it on the accelerator the entire time until they crossed over the river that separates the area from a more populated part of town. Once they crossed the river, May said that the oppressive feeling that had been pressing down on them disappeared. The air was light and her body felt normal again. Finally, when they safely returned home, the girls did a tarot reading. The reading informed them that they had encountered chaos and that they were lucky to be alive. May said she will never return to that evil place ever again. So there you have it, 2 super haunted and spooky churches in good old South Carolina.
Moral of the story, don't go.
Mm-hmm.
Because whether something doesn't want you there,
Yeah.
or legally speaking,
You're right.
legally or demonically,
Just don't go.
don't go.
It already had a bad history for how it even freaking got its name.
Exactly.
Just don't.
Just go.
Don't. Just don't. Especially if you get a bad feeling. It's the bad feeling.
Right. I'm like, okay, maybe test it out. But if you get that feeling when you walk up.
And if you can find the place you're going to on hauntedplaces.org, maybe don't go. Except Mom and I did use that once. It was raining at the beach. And so we were like, Delaware, and just went around to spooky places. She loves this stuff with me, so it's good.
I recognize that, but I don't like being the person to go check it out.
But it's not spooky if you go, and we went during the day. Rainy day, but the day. That's when we almost went to the church or the witch's tree. And then we realized that it was all sand to get there. And we were like, we're going to get stuck. And then afterwards, I read that people typically get stuck going there and their cars won't start. And I was like, yeah, good thing no.
No.
But yeah, just 2 of the, I'm sure, many haunted churches in Charleston, South Carolina, all the areas.
Yeah.
All right, Mackenzie, what in South Carolina do you have for us?
So we're going to just jump right into this one because there's really no way to sum it up nicely for an introduction.
Okay.
So didn't know how to start it, so I'm like, we're just going to start. So in the small town of Greer, Kentucky, there is a small savings and mortgage bank called Blue Ridge Savings.
Kentucky? Are we sure?
No.
Are we sure we did South Carolina?
No. Oh my God, no. Yes, I swear I typed in South Carolina.
Yes, it's South Carolina. It's South Carolina.
I looked at a fucking map. Oh my God. Because I was doing Kentucky social media.
It is South Carolina.
Yes, because I did a whole map because I was trying to figure out how far this person was from the bank. Oh my God. 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 Oh my God.
Crisis averted.
Okay. So in the small town of Greer, South Carolina, there is a small savings and mortgage bank called Blue Ridge Savings. The bank opened in 2002, and 56-year-old Sylvia Holtzclaw was the head teller. Sylvia was born and raised in Greer with 2 sons, Kevin and David. Kevin was a firefighter in Greer, and David lives in Florida. Don't know what he does. Just know he's in Florida.
Okay, Florida man. That's all you need to know.
Pretty much. Everyone in town knew Sylvia, and everyone wanted to be her friend. She had a big personality and always had a smile on her face. Her son, David, told unsolved mysteries. In case you didn't know,
it's going to be unsolved.
She just enjoyed conversation and getting to know people, hearing about their kids and what was going on in their life. And that's why I think a lot of people have kind of gravitated towards her, especially in the banking business. Sylvia had been in the banking world for close to 20 years. She was friendly with the customers and a pleasure to work with. It was mid-May 2003, just around Mother's Day, and Sylvia was looking forward to spending a weekend with her sons for a late Mother's Day celebration. David was driving into town, and Sylvia had made plans to leave work early so she could spend the afternoon with her sons. Later that morning, Sylvia finds out that the coworker that was supposed to come in for her was sick and couldn't make it. Sylvia was devastated that she would lose the afternoon with her sons, but David knew that his mom had not brought lunch, so he went down to the bank around 12:50 and brought her one. At this time, Sylvia was alone in the bank, and it wasn't unusual for Sylvia to find herself working alone. It was a small bank, about 3 or 4 people worked at the branch. Frequently, the loan officers had to be out of office to conduct their business, which left Sylvia by herself.
Jeez, that's a very small crew of people.
She had told some friends that she wasn't thrilled with being left alone so often. The bank was at a dead-end road off of I-85, and the bank was tucked away at the end. It was on a dead-end road and tucked away at the end of the road.
Sense?
Yeah. The bank was tucked away, so it wasn't visible from the highway. David spent about 10 minutes with his mom, then she walked him out to his car and said she would see him at home that evening. Soon after David left, a regular customer came in for a routine wire transfer. Once they left, Sylvia was alone again, and only her car sat in the parking lot. Sometime between when the last customer left and 1:30, Ebb and Maggie Barnes from the nearby town of Spartanburg entered the bank. Ebb and Maggie were married and the parents of 3 children. Ebb was 60 years old and a physics professor at the University of South Carolina, and Maggie was 58 years old and did work with a nonprofit group. They were active members in their church and well-liked by their community.
Okay.
Across town, Detective Dale Arterburn was enjoying lunch with a couple of coworkers when he received a call from dispatch advising of a bank robbery. At the time, Arterburn was 27 and the on-call detective that day in the Greer Police Department.
Young.
Yeah. Well, I realized, too, that Ebb and Maggie my parents are older than them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And they're described as, like,
old.
Yeah. When I was younger, I used to think, like, 60 was old.
Mm-hmm.
And then as my parents started to near 60, I was like, damn, that's not old.
I thought 30 was old until I'm at 30.
Yeah. And then you're like, man, this is young.
Yeah. So the small town had typical crimes of burglary, auto theft, sex crimes, and your typical violent crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a murder a year, but definitely no bank robberies. The silent alarm was activated by a bill trap at Blue Ridge Savings. A bill trap is located within a register at a bank, and when money or bait money is pulled, the alarm is activated and notifies the security company.
Because I was going to ask you what that was.
Police dispatchers called the bank to confirm if there had been an activation or if it was a mistake. Someone at the bank answered the phone, but then immediately disconnected. Dispatch attempted several more times to contact the bank, but they were met with a dead line dial tone. After they couldn't make contact, dispatch patrolled officers to the location.
I would hope.
Yeah. The officers arrived at the bank around 15 to 17 minutes after the silent alarm had been tripped.
And it's like, maybe if you hadn't tried calling 7 more times.
Yeah. Granted, I don't know where the police station is, but where the detective was across town.
Right.
Like a 30-minute drive.
Oh.
Yeah.
When did he get there so fast?
He didn't. The officers went.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think they were waiting first to see if it was legit. He comes later.
Oh, okay.
Officers noted 2 vehicles parked in the parking lot, a white Pontiac that belonged to Sylvia Holtzclaw and a Ford Ranger pickup truck that belonged to the Barnes. Patrol officers went in to clear the bank and see if there was anyone to talk to. Police discovered 3 victims had been shot to death with a .40 caliber Glock pistol. The victims were Sylvia Holtzclaw, Ebb Barnes, and Maggie Barnes.
Oh, yeah.
Investigators did the best they could to gather clues and evidence that would help them determine who may have done this. The robber or robbers had taken money from the drawer, but the bank's normal cash reserves were already very minimal.
Well, I mean, it's a small bank.
It's a small bank. They don't even have, it's not the type of bank you would go to and have a checkings account.
Oh.
It's one you would get a mortgage loan from or savings.
Right.
Money transfers, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, with 4 people working there.
Right. And also, it's a small town.
Right. Right, exactly.
Small town.
Small bank.
Small bank. So there are times when I just use the singular version for assailant or robber.
Okay.
But we don't know if it was 1 or 2.
Oh, okay.
But just for clarity and smoothness.
Continuity.
Continuity, exactly.
Okay.
So in my notes, it says everything with a slash and an S. So
Oh my gosh.
it's either plural or it's not.
Okay.
We'll see. The police did not want to disclose to the public how much was taken in order to ensure that any information that comes forward is legitimate.
Right.
Detective Arterburn went to check the security tapes to figure out what happened in the bank at the time of the robbery murder. However, no tape was found in the recording device. Police were unsure if it had been taken by the assailant or if there had even been a tape.
Right.
There might not have been one at all.
Mm-hmm.
However, Sylvia's son David told Unsolved Mysteries that his mom kept a book of procedures for opening and closing the bank. She was very meticulous. She kept it for safety reasons. She always filled it out. She kept detailed notes, and in there it shows that she was the one who's responsible for making sure that there's a up-to-date tape in the camera and that everything's in working order.
Right.
So if it was in that book and she was supposed to do it, it got done.
Mm-hmm.
So they're definitely, in his mind, he's saying there without a doubt was a tape in there and it was taken by whoever.
Okay.
So police were not sure if the Barnes had arrived before the assailant entered the bank or afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Did the robber know they were there? The car had been parked on a different side of the building, so it may have appeared that only Sylvia was in the bank at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Barnes surprise the robber while he was in the middle of committing the crime? Why did the assailant feel it was necessary to brutally murder 3 people? Everyone who knew the victims, including Detective Arterburn, who knew Sylvia,
Mm-hmm.
believed that all 3 victims would not have put up a fight, which is typically what would cause a robber to shoot victims in a burglary.
Right.
If they got what they want, they leave everyone unharmed. Investigators knew that the bank was most likely staked out prior to the robbery.
Well, yeah, that would make sense.
Right. The detective even said, he's like, no, this is not something that you're like, oh, look, a bank, let's go rob it. Like,
Right.
Just
Right. You need to know what the inside looks like, what the
you would
outside
have to-
looks like,
and
your
you
exits.
can't see it from the high. Like, it's off of a main
Oh,
interstate.
right.
And you can't even see it.
Right. So the person definitely knew what they were going there to do.
For sure. Detective Arterburn thinks the robbery did not go as planned, whether that was because the Barnes surprised them
Mm-hmm.
or for a different reason entirely. Even without a security tape, police were able to deduce that what most likely occurred is that the victims were likely killed soon after the alarm was triggered. Investigators think that the assailant made all 3 people go to the back of the bank area by gunpoint, and as they walked down the hallway, they would have seen a security device on the wall, and it would be blinking, bill trap, so they would know
that it's been pressed.
that it's been pressed.
Mm-hmm.
So could that possibly have been what triggered the gunman, pun intended, to shoot all 3 people in the break room? I know, very untasteful, but I couldn't help it. Or was that the plan all along? Was he always planning on getting rid of the witnesses? You know, the detective was saying, did the robber not see that the Barnes were there, come in and be like, oh crap, now I have 3 people to deal with instead of 1?
Or did he get scared, pull the trigger on her, and then sees them and like, well, now they're witnesses to a murder. So
right. Or could it have been that he was already in there and they come in the middle of this robbery and, well, now you got 3 people to deal with.
Right.
Well, we don't know. So police caught a break when they asked a neighboring business if they had any security footage. A nearby gas station had a camera that pointed towards the road that leads directly to the bank. So it wasn't of the front door of the bank, but it was to the road.
Okay.
That would lead there.
Okay.
They were able to see when David brought his mom lunch at the bank and locate the vehicles of all the victims. Investigators noticed a red car that passed by going down the road towards the bank and then back again around the same time as the robbery. Remember, the road to the bank is on a dead-end road. So if a car goes down that road, it can only come back the same way.
Right.
Unfortunately, they were unable to make out a license plate, but they learned from car experts that the exact make and model of the car is possibly a red Oldsmobile Alario.
Okay, that makes so much sense to me.
I have no idea what that is.
Nope, me either.
The video also shows the red car passing multiple times throughout the area leading up to the robbery.
Interesting.
It was hard for me to determine when, but at some point the FBI joined the investigation.
Okay.
But there was no like, oh yeah, they joined it at this time. I don't know if it's automatic because it was a bank robbery.
Maybe. That's kind of what I would think.
So
because then it becomes like money, like federal money.
What I was confused about at first was it wasn't included, like what the FBI had come up with was not included in the Unsolved Mysteries episode. And so at first when I read it on another website, I was like, oh, this is not true information.
Oh.
But there is a literal wanted ad on the FBI website.
Oh.
So it is legitimate. So the FBI released a profile, and it said that the robbers might be nervous or come across as nervous or preoccupied. They might have missed work or suddenly left the upstate for a period of time. I kept seeing upstate come up frequently. No fucking clue what it means.
Yeah, I'm in upstate in South Carolina.
Yeah, I kept getting confused. I was like, oh, upstate New York. Nope,
we're not in New York.
we're not in New York. I have no idea.
Weird.
They would have either just grown a beard or just shaved one.
Okay, so they might either have facial hair or no facial hair.
Right, but it like an immediate change in what they decided to do and would have gotten a haircut.
Okay.
So they've set up a most wanted poster on their website for anyone with information about the case. And they're looking for any information about the red car. They believe it is either an Oldsmobile Alario or a Chevy Impala. And FBI was able to get a possible description of a man who was supposedly in the bank just prior to the crimes. I don't know if this is a suspect, a witness, because the reports that I read said that there was someone in the bank after the son left, but before the robbery took place.
And did they see it in the camera?
That's what I don't know.
Okay.
I couldn't find who the fuck saw this person.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Just know that there's a description of this man.
All
so
right.
I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
So they're looking for a white male. A white man. Typical.
White man.
He's a short king, between 5'6" or 5'8". Although if he's the suspect, then he's not a king. It's just a sad short man.
A troll.
He's a little, honestly, I mean, he weighs about 230 pounds.
Oh.
So he's a stocky man.
Yeah.
Little stocky man. He has short blonde hair with a touch of gray, and it was described as having a clean-cut appearance.
Okay.
If you have any information, you can contact your local FBI office or the nearest American embassy or consulate. You can submit a tip to the FBI's website at fbitips.gov. You can contact the FBI office in Greenville, South Carolina at 803-551-4200 or the Greer Police Department at 864-848-2151. And that's it. That's the case. It's still unsolved 20 years later.
Geez, do they think that they're getting close to finding anything or solving it or?
So I was going to say, how mad would you be if I just left it at that?
Oh, you're not done.
I would never.
Oh, thank God.
I would never.
I was going to say, wow, that sucks.
I would never. There are two main theories.
Okay.
About who may be responsible for the robbery or homicide. Number one. About 6 months later, 4 employees working at the Superbikes Motorsport in Chenise, South Carolina, were found dead in their shop. They had all been shot, and witnesses saw a man leaving the store around the time of the incident. His description does not resemble the bank robber at all.
Okay. Well, the guy who was
the guy that they're looking for. He is described as 6 feet tall.
Oh.
And between 175 and 200 pounds.
Okay, so very different.
So scrawny little guy.
Yeah.
In 2016, Todd Kohlhelp is a serial killer.
I don't know.
I feel like he was in that coloring book you got.
I don't remember.
Be like, oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was arrested after he'd kidnapped a young married couple, and the wife was found in a shipping container on his property.
Oh, yes.
See?
No.
Oh. That was rude. So Cole Heap-Hep confessed to the Superbike Motorsports murders and gave authority details that only the assailant would have known.
Right.
He claimed that he had tried to return a bike, but the employees had made fun of him.
So it's fine to kill if someone makes fun of you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He has denied any involvement in the Blue Ridge Savings murders, and there is currently no evidence that we know of that connects him to the crime.
And I feel like if he admitted to the one, he would admit to the other.
Yeah. So 2 weeks before the murders, a man named Emerson Wright stole a red car from a rental shop just outside of town. The same type of car was seen on the surveillance camera heading to and from the bank on the same day and same time as the murders.
Mm-hmm.
Wright was in his 20s and became a prime suspect in 2005.
And if he didn't do it and he just stole a car, that sucks. You
right.
You did something bad and
first
now
of all,
you're really getting karma.
You shouldn't have picked red in the first place because already that draws attention.
Yes.
Like that was mistake number 1, regardless if it's been used in a crime.
You got to get like silver or gray.
People really need to consult us first before they make these decisions.
It's like we have a podcast.
Right.
Come
We're
on.
talking about
Experts.
experts. Back in 2002, Wright was wanted. See how
There you
hard that
go.
is?
Wright was wanted.
It's hard.
Okay.
Wright was wanted for multiple robberies across South Carolina. In 2001, Wright had bought a .40 caliber Glock and used it in some of the robberies. Wright was in a high-speed chase with Georgia State Police, and once he had finally stopped the car, as officers approached, Wright shot himself with a handgun. The handgun that Wright was used to take his own life does not match the gun that was used in the robbery homicide. Unless you read Reddit, and then it is. So while he is a viable suspect, no evidence have been found to officially link him to the crimes, and they obviously couldn't talk to him because he's dead.
Right.
So, like I said, if you have any information, you can contact all the people I said before, and we'll put it in our show notes. So that is the Blue Ridge Savings murders.
Who do you think it was?
Well, I definitely don't think it was the first guy.
Right. I don't either.
Because at that point, he probably would have admitted to whatever.
Exactly.
And then the second guy sounds the most promising.
And so when did he shoot himself? Was it after?
It's hard to tell because
if it was before the robbery, obviously not.
I tried to take most of my information from the podcast episode because they interviewed the actual detective. So I figured that's going to be the one that has the most legitimate information.
Yeah.
But then when you read some other sources, like the one I read on Reddit, was saying how when he had gotten pulled over, he did go on the high-speed chase, which the detective on the podcast also said that.
Okay.
But he wasn't sure of the details. He was like, I don't know, there was a chase or something.
Oh.
So he didn't explain, he came to a stop, and
right.
It was very brushed over. Versus in some other ones, it was like, they were on this high-speed chase, and he took a turn too quickly, and so he messed up the car. He got out and he started running. I don't know at what point in that story he shoots himself, but both are he got pulled over by Georgia State Police and he shot himself.
After the robberies?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
A couple years afterwards.
Oh, okay.
And he was the one who had stolen a red car.
Right.
So just given the fact that it was a red car, that he was known for robbing things.
And the fact that he did a high-speed chase and that he went to such an extreme after
which is
potentially getting caught.
Yeah, it's hard to know if that was because he stole another car.
Right.
Or...
But I feel like the crime going to jail for stealing a car is going to be much less than doing a police chase, which is going to also be much less than murdering someone.
Sure. But why he specifically ran, we don't know.
Exactly.
Because there's a number of crimes it could have been for.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, that's sad.
It's very sad. But the son of Sylvia has a Facebook page, and they did a toy drive during Christmas time. They've publicized about the podcast, which, I encourage you to go listen to because, it goes into more detail. You can hear from them directly.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And it's unsolved. So if you know anything.
And do we know if they're close anywhere to anything?
There was an article that was the police are, ramping up the investigation, asking for anything people know 20 years later. And so I went to go read it to see if they found anything.
Right.
It was just recapping the murders and saying, if you know anything,
let us know. Oh.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah.
It unfortunately sounds like this one might be one of those that's forever unsolved.
And it's interesting too, because I'm given all the technology we have now.
Right.
Could there have been something?
I feel like if it had happened now, yeah.
Yeah.
But because it happened then, probably not.
I mean, it was early 2000s.
Yeah.
But it's a very
you said
town.
20 years ago, and I'm thinking
2003. Happened 20 years ago, baby.
Ew.
Yep.
I don't like it at all. I really don't like that. I really hate that.
That means that the children who are born in the early aughts are all about to be of drinking age.
Yuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I told you once, I saw something, I went into the store once and it was 050700, and I was like, why is their thing broken?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, why is that broken? And I was like, 1900, obviously no one is still alive. And then I thought, oh my God, it's talking about 2000. So it must have been 3 years ago.
My kids were born, when we were in college.
They could have been your children.
Ew.
Like, it's very possible.
Biologically speaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, there's your little bit to feel old today.
Mm-hmm.
Follow us on all the things if you're young and have smartphones and technology. We can be found pretty much everywhere at A Scary State Podcast.
Don't bother on Twitter. We're not going to do that shit. No, that's X.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
Well, our main hubs are Instagram and TikTok.
Yep. And you can send us emails at ascarystatepodcast@gmail.com. So thank you for listening.
As always.
And stay scary.
Stay safe.